How do you repurpose content and really get the most out of what you've already recorded or what you've already done? That is what we are talking about today. So I hope that you are as excited as I am. If you're listening on the audio only version, then you can't see this, but I'm standing up today, which I haven't done in a while. I used to record every single one of my podcast episodes where I would have my kids like Minecraft creeper head party box that we had for one of their birthday parties. And I would put that up, and that was literally my standing desk. I would put my microphone on top of it. That was my standing desk before I had a standing desk. Now that I have one, I'm like, oh no, we're standing up today because I'm fired up to share with you about repurposing content, because this is something I get asked about so much. Like every year, I keep getting new questions asked about repurposing content. And so we're going to address that today. And I'm going to share with you all the things that I've learned in creating thousands, like we're over 1,400 podcast episodes in, hundreds of YouTube videos at this point, maybe even getting close to 1,000 YouTube videos. So I cannot wait to share with you all the things that I've learned along the way. So let's get right to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Proffitt Podcast. If we have not met, hello, I am Crystal Proffitt, your podcast coach and content strategist, or what I like to call myself is your podcast therapist, helping you work on your relationship with your content. And today, this question actually came from our community. We have a free Facebook group where I will occasionally ask, like, hey, what do y'all want me to talk about? What are some topics that we should cover? And one of those was about repurposing content. So I'll make sure and have the original post up here, but I want to give a shout out to Carrie Saunders from the eCommerce Made Easy podcast. She actually this was such a great question, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to answer it. So Carrie, thank you so much for submitting this question. And if you want to submit your question to be featured on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, then join us in our free Facebook group and drop your questions in there, and you will have an opportunity to show up here in our feed. And I would just love to share information about your show, your podcast, and give you a shout out. So here is Carrie's question. The original one says, what would be the most effective way to reuse content from my podcast on YouTube, but in a more meaningful and platform appropriate way than just putting a video form in the podcast category? I'd love to create spin-off videos of my podcast demonstrating ideas from the show, but I don't want it to be too repetitive. Would I take a subtopic per episode and create shorter demonstrative videos? Demonstrative, right? Whichever version, potato. A shorter video from the idea. Shout out eCommerce Made Easy. So again, fantastic question. And I'm going to give you what I said to her in the Facebook group, like my quick, like, hey, thank you so much for submitting this. We're going to turn it into a podcast episode. But for now, like, here are my quick thoughts. So I said, great question. I'm going to add this one to the mix, but my two suggestions, right? So for this, I would say 1, hire a video editor for weekly content. I recently did this. Let's give a big shout out to Jay here, because he is phenomenal and he helps me with my video production, because I do a lot of YouTube, not only our long form videos, but our YouTube shorts. We post these on Instagram. So this has been life-changing. This has been a game changer for repurposing content. And I said, I recently did this and it makes a big difference in the watching experience of my videos, because let's be honest, Jay is a much better editor. He is a professional videographer and he has so much more experience. And let's just be honest, it probably takes him a quarter of the time that it was taking me. And I realized I needed to take a step back and say, Crystal, you are not a professional video editor. Just stop it. Like, hire this out and let someone who really enjoys it, because I got to the point where I was not enjoying all my video editing and Jay loves it. Like, why don't we pass the baton to someone on our team that can do that for you? So that's option number 1, right? And I know you may be saying, well, I don't know if I can afford that, or what does that look like? We can get into more details on that later, but I want you to not discount when and, if it's a possibility for you to do it, just have it in the back of your mind that that is an option. Okay. I want to just throw that out there. Hiring this out to repurpose your content is an incredible option. And I hope that you get there one day, but we'll talk more in detail on what that looks like. The second one is hire a video editor to consult with you and tell you how you can edit your content to be more dynamic, not hiring them to be ongoing. So this is a fantastic option for those of you that are saying, I don't have the budget to pay someone hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a year, like whatever, maybe you've gotten quotes. I hear all this all the time. It's like, I'd love to have a video editor, but that's expensive. Or that's, I can't justify paying someone to do this if I'm not yet making money in my content or with my business. And I totally get that. But that's why I love this idea of hiring an expert just for their knowledge. So not for their services, but maybe it's something like, hey, come in and help me set up a workflow. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's how much, content I'm trying to publish on a consistent basis. What could that look like? Can you help me set up a workflow? Can you tell me better ways to record? Like, I actually lean on Jay so much. Like, we've had so many conversations about the quality of my videos or how to record with better lighting, how to have like proper technique and like speaking into the microphone. Like these are the things that we nerd out on because we love content marketing and content creation so much. Like he even pinged me one day and was like, hey, is that like such and such type of microphone or different type of equipment that you're using? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like he noticed it right off the bat because that's how much he's into the equipment and tech. And I just think it's so funny how, when you find someone that's really in their element, they love it. They indulge in it. So why wouldn't you hire an expert or lean on an expert's opinion to help you have better video quality or make your content more dynamic? So you could still edit your own content, but it would be like a masterclass instead of watching endless YouTube videos that aren't getting you anywhere or they're not getting you the specific thing that you need. I encourage you to find a video editor and just reach out to them and say, hey, how much would it cost for like a consult? 30 minutes of your time, an hour of your time, because maybe you could afford that. Maybe you couldn't afford to hire out to do all of your 4 YouTube videos a month or, these ongoing projects that you're working on, but I bet you could afford that one-time consultation fee and being able to set up your systems and processes where you're still doing it yourself. Maybe you're still doing DIY for now, but you have that expert layout and that expert opinion that is setting you up for success. So those are the 2 options that I gave Carrie is like hiring out an editor, having a expert consult from someone that's an expert in the content creation, like video specific industries. And then I gave her a third option, of course, because I'm like, here's your 2 options, but here's a bonus option. And I said, watch more videos on editing to make your content more dynamic and fun to watch. Now, what I mean by this is one thing that I've always done in my content is I have made sure to look at what other people are doing that aren't just in my niche, right? I'm not just looking at podcasting videos or just video podcasts. Like I'm always looking. I mean, I sat down. Okay, this is really funny and very like when I'm recording this, this is a very like on topic. Do you have kids or children in your lives that play Brawl Stars? Okay, do you know what this is? This is a game that they can play on their tablet and iPhone. I'm sure you can play it on the computer, but there was this big drop. I'm sure you know what this is, right? You have like loot drops for Fortnite and you have drops. It's like, a shoe's coming out, a shoe is launching. It's a drop, all these things, right? I'm embarrassing myself with my millennial logo or lingo that I'm trying to like sound cool and it's not really working for me. But anyway, right? They were watching this live stream and they were waiting for it to go live. They were so pumped, so excited. And we sat there, my husband and I, like this was on a Saturday. It was happening at noon our time. And we're just sitting there watching. We're like, are they really like, this is really cool. Like, what are they doing? And then I just watched the numbers go up and up and up. I think their YouTube channel had like 20 million subscribers or something, right? Very aspirational to, probably what you and I have. But I was watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, there's 250,000 people waiting for this live stream to start. And then it was 300,000, 450,000. It was like more than 500,000 people waiting for this thing to start. And then when it started, what they were doing is they're doing a collaboration with SpongeBob. So SpongeBob and Brawl Stars. It's a happy marriage for all of these kids to enjoy playing. I don't even know what the whole thing is. I don't know. I've like heard it in the distance and, kids screaming in the background about Brawl Stars, but I don't really know how to play the game. But I was watching this collaboration video and thinking, this is so fun. Like, they made this video so much fun. It was dynamic. It was animated. And of course, it had all the intellectual property of SpongeBob and, the sounds of Bikini Bottom and like, the different characters that were in there. But what I took away from it was, oh, these people are really indulging and having fun in what they're creating. So when it comes to your videos, if you are not having fun, if you are bored watching your own content, then you should do something about it. And now I want to went into all the information that I kind of gave Carrie that was like quick, like, I don't want to just leave you hanging and say, oh, we'll eventually answer this on the podcast. Those are like the quick hits of like, here's what you can do now. But I want to go back to the original question, right? Like, I'd love to create spin-off videos of my podcast demonstrating like ideas from the show, but I don't want it to be too repetitive. I want to hone in on that piece of her question because in my opinion, you can't be too repetitive. I have said the same things on this podcast since 2018, like since I originally launched the show. Of course, it was a different show. I rebranded later. And I guess it would have been in 2019. Okay, let me back up for a second. So for the last half a decade, we've been talking about the same things on this podcast. I literally could go back and look at the very first time that I talked about repurposing or how many times I've talked about it this year. I cover the same topics over and over and over. It's just that we give a different spin on it or we share different stories. Like today is a great example. Now we're going to get a little meta for a second and talk about the content while we're teaching about the content. But Carrie's question is not new. I've gotten this hundreds, possibly thousands of times in the amount of times I've interacted with people. They always want to know, how can I make my content better? How can I reuse what I've already created? Do I need to strip it down? Do I need to, put it in a different format? And what I would say to Carrie and anyone else that has existing content is think about what can you do with your long form videos. So this is like really specific to videos now because some people may be listening and they're like, well, I just do audio only. That's great, right? Audio only is fantastic. You can cut down the audio, create some sound bites, whether it has just a static image and a waveform, that's great. Or if you want to, make it more dynamic and, have a different kind of waveform or whatever you want to do. Like there's so many things that you can do with just audio only, but there's so many more things that you can do with video. So here's a great example. Like this episode today, right? We're probably going to land between 25 and 30-minute episode. And with that long form piece of content, what we'll do is we'll cut it down into clips. Now it could be 6 clips that are less than a minute. But what I used to do whenever I was repurposing, I was putting out 3 YouTube videos a week, right? It was a lot. Plus, I was putting out an interview. I was doing 2 podcast episodes a week as well. So 3 YouTube videos, 2 podcast episodes. Typically what would happen is one of those videos would be either an interview or a piece that was related to my podcast episodes, but there was so much overlap, like so much saturation of the exact same message. And that's what marketing is about. Okay. I want to say that again, because I don't want you to miss this. That is marketing. You're honing in the same message. How many times have you heard me talk about batching content or my Prep'em method that's all about how to plan, record, edit, publish, and market your content? Like, I've said these things so many times. We've talked about burnout multiple times on the show. We've talked about interviewing guests. We've talked about how to grow your show, how to monetize your show. Like, none of these are new and novel ideas. They are repetitive. And by definition, that's what makes them sticky, right? Like, you could call it sticky. You could call them the main themes of this show, like whatever, terminology you want to use. But at the end of the day, you are going to be repetitive, and that's okay. That's okay, because how many times have you been listening to a content creator, right? Maybe it's one of your mentors. Maybe it's someone that you love to follow online. If you take a step back, you're going to realize, oh, they're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing over and over again. Maybe it's cyclical. Maybe they say it once every 4 weeks. Maybe they say it once every 4 months. Maybe they say it once a year. But I can guarantee you, if there is someone that you are following that is part of a specific niche, they will repeat themselves. I think about seasonality, right? Like, I got into gardening, really heavily in the last year. And the gardeners that I follow on Instagram, like, they're seasonal. They're talking about fall gardening right now, when I'm recording this, and I'm eating it all up. I'm like, yes, I need this. They probably said the exact same thing last year. Who cares? I need it now. Like, this is the stuff I need today. I don't want to go digging through all of like their last year's content or what happened a few years ago. Like, I want it now because I found them now. So I want you to have the perspective of who your consumer is, who your audience people are, and ask, like, do they care if it's repeated? No, they don't care. They just care. Is it available to me today? Can I go watch it now? Can I go consume it right now? That's what they care about. So if we're sitting around holding back ideas because we're afraid that we're going to repeat ourselves, then you're really missing out on an opportunity to hit your audience from a different angle every single time, which is why I believe stories are so important. Stories are incredibly important to differentiate the different topics that you are talking about and not sound so repetitive. So I teach this to my students, my clients. We've had monthly coaching calls for Proffitt Podcasting. We meet once a month. And we have, questions that come in, they're pre-submitted, or people that are there live. Carrie, I want to give Carrie a shout out. She is one of my students, and she's actually been doing a phenomenal job, but she shows up every single month, and we have conversations like this. And I think it's just so important to take a step back and say, it's okay if you repeat yourself. Let's just figure out how can we add in different stories so that people in your audience really feel seen. They're like, okay, yeah, Crystal shared that story about Carrie, but what about Leslie over here? Or what about Stephanie, who had this experience? Or what about Mark, who's in a totally different part of his journey? I think it's so, so, so important. So like I said, we've repeated repurposing so many times on the podcast already. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will see multiple videos about repurposing because it is a question we get asked a lot. But the difference is every time I have fresh eyes, every time I'm in a different part of my own journey. So I can share about Brawl Stars and SpongeBob because it just happened. I just saw that happen very recently. So you can look it up. And by the time, if you listen to this when it goes live, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was like a week or two ago. That wasn't too long ago. So I want you to think about when you're looking at repurposing, look at the long form of what you have, right? Whether it's a 20-minute episode, it's a 45-minute interview, and ask, do I want to share all of this in multiple ways? Or am I just trying to share the best pieces of it, right? Those nuggets of wisdom or those teasers that you're like, ooh, my audience is really going to appreciate that. Because I've done this in a few different ways. So again, if we go back to circa 2022, 2023, what I was doing a lot before I had a video editor that was helping me every single month and we were working really closely together, what I would do is say, man, it's really a lot to edit this whole 45-minute podcast interview. What could I do that's manageable for me? So this is for all of you that's like, I don't have time to hire an editor. I don't even have time or the money, the budget to consult with an editor. So what I would say to you, so this is to Carrie and anyone else that finds themselves in an abundance of video content saying, what do I do with this? Go back, listen to it, watch it, and see which pieces are the aha moments that your audience would find so valuable and cut those out. If you go back to interviews on my YouTube channel, you'll see that some of them are 5-minute clips. Some of them are 2-minute clips. Some of them are 7 minutes. Some of them are 8 minutes. Some of them are 12 to 15 minutes. It's not the full interview, but it's the pieces where I'm like, oh, this is searchable on YouTube. Like somebody is typing this into YouTube right now, asking this question. So I'm just going to tee it up for them. I'm not going to share the entire interview when I can give them the bit of information that they need. I'm cutting all the filler out, and I'm hoping that there's some people out there that just want to get straight to the point. They just want the answer to their specific question. So if you have content that's like that, consider how could you chop up what you already have existing, pull out those best pieces, and create 4 or 5 videos instead of just one, because this gives you a more consistent publishing schedule. Or if you're looking for quantity of videos that you're putting out, whether it's short form videos or it's just shorter videos. And I would say shorter by my definition is 5 minutes and under, right? That's shorter. And then actual shorts on YouTube are 60 seconds or less. So, I mean, what could you do? Like, what are the possibilities? I would love for you to tell me if you're watching on YouTube, tell me in the comments, like, what are the possibilities that are out there that you could do? Like, did I just blow your mind and like open up like a can of worms and all the different things that you could do? Because I want you to see this as not an impossible thing that you have to overcome, but you already have everything you need at your fingertips. It's just a matter about getting strategic, maybe making some intentional plans to make this happen. But I can tell you, once I got strategic and I took a step back and said, okay, what is my goal? What am I trying to achieve with putting out podcast episodes, putting out my YouTube channel? And at the end of the day, I am trying to create an audience that feels seen, an audience that is engaged, and really like you are here to be part of this community and not go through it alone. That's really my hope for creating the podcast and putting it out on all these different channels, for creating those short clips and sharing them on Instagram, sharing them on YouTube. I'm trying to build a community of people that are like, oh yeah, that maybe felt impossible at one point in my journey, but if so-and-so did it, I can do it too. If Carrie did it, I could do it too. And so I hope that this really resonates and you feel more seen after today's episode, because that's really what I'm here for. Like, part of our motto around here is create with confidence. That's truly what I want you to do. I want you to feel so secure, so confident in what you're doing that even if things get hard in the future, you know that you're creating from this place of abundance, from this place of fun. Remember, we talked about this earlier. Like, if it's not fun, what are you even doing? What are we even doing here, right? So if you find yourself bored with repurposing like a long form piece of your interview, and then you're just like, I don't know which part of this, share the best parts. This is the other piece that people get like shocked when I say that. I was like, share the sound bites that are like, ooh, that would make a good headline, or ooh, that would make somebody listen, or say, oh, I want to go like watch the rest of this interview, watch the rest of this episode. I had this interview with Amy Porterfield one time. Yes, I'm going to name drop real fast, but we did an interview and she said something that was so funny. It was, I think it was in 2023. And we got to talking about her husband and like what she was saying. We'll have to find the clip because I thought it was so hilarious. But I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is the soundbite that we have to tease out about this episode, because she never she hasn't shared like too much about her personal life. And the thing that she said on there, we'll have to add it in here. Because the thing that she said was so funny. And I was like, oh, she doesn't share that. Like no one else is going to have that clip, that soundbite from their interview with Amy. They're going to have, more about digital courses and how to make, your podcast and your digital course work together and like all the things, list building, like the things that we know and love Amy for. But she said this one thing on my podcast. I was like, oh, no one else is going to have that clip. I'm going to share that clip as my teaser. So that's how I want you to look at your content. Like instead of just looking at like, how can I be more dynamic and how can I make this part of my workflow? Ask yourself, what does my audience really care about? That's what you should be thinking is, what do they want to know? What are the things that they're coming to YouTube to find the answer to? Or what are the things that they're asking me about all the time? Like, and how can you serve that to them in bite-sized pieces to give them another opportunity? And don't forget, okay, this part's important. Don't forget to link back to that original piece of content, that long form piece of content. You bet your bottom dollar. If I'm sharing a YouTube short that's from an existing YouTube video, I'm linking back to that original video because I want people ultimately to go watch that one. I want them to go check it out. So if they find me scrolling in their shorts feed, right? They're on YouTube shorts and then they find a video. They're like, oh, that was good. I want them to click through and go watch the entire video that I created just for them. So I feel like I got up on my soapbox about this today, but like I said, I had to stand up for today's episode because I felt the fire in my belly to really talk about repurposing and get it right because this conversation is just going to keep going. So if you have questions about repurposing content, put them in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. And then if you're listening on the audio only version, send me a fan mail. So you can click the button where it says send Crystal a text message. And I want to hear from you. This is where we're getting questions from the community. We're getting them, in our Facebook group. We're getting them in my email. I get them in my fan mail. Like, I want to feature you on the podcast. So if you are interested in getting a shout out on the show, then make sure you send me a fan mail, send me a comment below, or send me a DM on Instagram, send me an email. There's multiple ways to reach out, but please join us in our free Facebook group because we have so much fun in there. But that's all I have for you today. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode about repurposing content. Again, I cannot stress enough. Please reach out if you have questions. We are here to help and support you. And I want you to create with confidence. At the end of the day, that's really what I want you to do is feel strong, feel secure, feel confident in what you're creating. And most importantly, have fun. So make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are listening and watching. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.